September 11th, 2020, Calvin Castine at U.S. Customs and Border Crossing in Champlain, a place where we are every September 11th for the past decade and a half, perhaps. I'm not sure if I've covered all their ceremonies here. We're here, of course, to remember September 11th, 2001, at 8:46. The first plane crashed into the World Trade Center. And it's been a tradition here to remember that date. Normally, there are the color guard on American Legion Post 912. There are EMS and other essential workers, along with police and so on, and then all the employees who can get away from the desks for a few minutes are out here. But today it's an abbreviated ceremony, a different ceremony because of the COVID-19. So at 8:46 they will move this wreath and put it in front of that little stand that you see there. At the top of that stand there's iron from the World Trade Center that was hit 19 years ago. So that iron is here on display, and it's brought out annually, and then the wreath ceremony takes place today. Today, the ceremony, as we said, will be brief. We're approaching 8:46, and at 8:46, these gentlemen will do it.
This is our 19th year doing this at Champlain, and we just want to remember all that died that day just going to work, and we especially want to remember the firemen, the police, and the Port Authority police that passed away that day. And they were doing their jobs. They ran towards danger as people were trying to get out. So we really want to remember them, and the families that were affected and are still affected to this day. Okay? We will now observe a minute of silence.
As I said, the ceremony would be brief. It is now ended. We're going to try to chat with Vincent Nigro for a moment. Normally here the traffic is backed up, but as we all know, in this COVID-19 era, there's only essential workers. They did hold up a few vehicles upstream. They're allowing them to come through now, so but normally the traffic would have been backed up here as they crossed into the U.S., but now it's just essential workers. At this point in time, it's going to be looked at again on September 21st in 10 days, but I don't think there's too many of us who expect that it will not be extended. I would be very surprised if the borders were reopened on September 21st, but that's the next target date, the next date that it's been extended to, and it will be extended to in the future, I'm sure. We're going to have to talk loud because we're both wearing masks. I can't, everybody keeps saying they cannot imagine this
Right.
type of situation, and of course we could never imagine this type of situation where you're wearing a mask to
No.
work, and it's just,
No.
Your name, sir?
Steve Bronson, I'm the port director here at Champlain.
All right, and for what, 3 years?
Going on 3 years,
3
yes.
years now.
Yeah.
So it's a different situation here, Steve.
Yeah.
I know we're here to look at this 9/11, but the port situation is completely different than what it has been.
Oh, for sure. It's a year ago, you told me we'd be wearing a mask and social distancing and trying to the new normal, as they call it. It's been trying times for everybody.
And of course, with the border closed, you guys
Yeah.
are still busy. Though,
Yeah,
right?
the border's open. It's restricted
Right.
travel.
It's
It's
essential workers only.
essential workers only for the passenger environment. Our commercial traffic is roughly the same as it has always been. We're only a few percentage points off truck-wise, commercial traffic-wise. And the cars are steady, but it's nothing like this summer was nothing like a normal North Country
Right.
summer for people coming down and stuff. But yeah,
What kind of proof do they have to have that they are an essential worker? What do they have to do?
well, if you're a U.S. citizen or a U.S. resident, that's your proof. If you're a Canadian citizen working at a U.S. company in healthcare or you're well known to us. I mean, you're crossing the border regularly, and you're known to the border personnel. So, and anybody in doubt, we research it and we make sure we always get the benefit of the doubt. If people are coming down for essential purposes, we're going to make sure they get across.
So if a U.S. citizen made it to the north, you're going to let them back in.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is their country, our country. So it's and a U.S. resident also. If they're in Canada and they're coming down. There's no restrictions at all for a
Okay.
U.S. citizen.
So I know a fellow from Montreal that used to hang around here a lot. Said he came down. He uses the Freeport forwarding and the
Right.
post office and mails a lot of stuff. And he was told that he could be considered an essential worker because he
Yeah.
had to get this stuff in the mail.
Mhm.
But in going back, the first time he went back through 276, the Canadian customs, that guy let him through.
Mhm.
Next guy said, nope, you're not an essential worker. So he had to isolate in Montreal for 2 weeks after going through.
So
So
the Canadian regulations, of course, each province has different requirements. So the Quebec province, they change. They've been changing over time. So he may have got caught up with whatever the requirement was for quarantine, the provincial requirements. So we force the U.S. requirements, and of course the New York State requirements is our priority here. So
yeah, and right now the extension is to September 21st, but I don't think there's any of us who think that that's going to reopen after September 21st.
We don't know.
Obviously, you don't know. But
we're prepared though. We made plans. I mean, if I could have bought stock in a plexiglass company years ago, that would have been a good investment for all of us. We've made plans, so when we do reopen to normal business, we're prepared to protect the staff here and also the traveling public.
So you made changes inside?
Absolutely, yeah. It's quite differently. We won't go be doing business like we used to be doing. We won't see 500 people in our processing area waiting to be processed when we reopen. It's going to be, we took a lot of commercial, a lot of private industry ideas, how they distance people and how they process people, and we're going to incorporate that into our operation.
And you got buses too that come through.
Buses will be coming through.
Usually your inspector goes on the bus.
We have a lot of wireless technology, a lot of handheld technology where we can do a lot of stuff face to face at a safe distance. We don't have to bring people into a closed area. That's absolutely necessary. We can do a lot of stuff, remotely.
Okay. All right. So I know you said the commercial traffic has been right up to its usual standards,
yeah.
And but you told me off camera before that stuff that people might have tried to smuggle through before in their cars are now trying commercially, and you're capturing a lot of that stuff.
You're at our field office, the Buffalo field office, from Buffalo Bridges all the way to here. It's been dramatic on the amount of seizures we've been making in the narcotics. We have a mail operation here. The people are shipping things in the mail that normally they bring across in their personal vehicles. The commercial environment, normally we find smaller amounts of narcotics in a vehicle. In the commercial trucks, bigger conveyance, larger quantities and seizures. So it's definitely been, we haven't been bored this summer. We've been really processing and doing a lot of good work in the drug world.
Yeah, so preventing that is an important part of your job.
Oh, for sure.
And it's the smugglers haven't had a free ride by any means.
Yeah, the narcotics, some will end up here in the North Country, but most are heading down the East Coast and Eastern Seaboard. So we're protecting that whole eastern part of the country right here for Champlain.
Okay. Anything else we should know, Steve?
No, just hopefully next year our ceremony is going to be 20th year is going to be an important milestone to recognize what the sacrifices that were made. We're looking forward to really having a good turnout and back to normal.
Yes, let's get rid of this new normal.
Yeah, hopefully it's not a new normal. Hopefully it's just a new pause or whatever.
I like the old normal myself.
Yeah, me too.
All right, thanks, Steve Bronson.
Thank
you. All right, we were talking to the retired Vincent Nigro, and Vinny, you helped coordinate or did coordinate this year's event?
Yes. Yeah.
And you had a co-conspirator over there. I don't mean your son, but
yeah, Jamie. Yeah,
Jamie,
head of the union.
Jamie who?
Goheens.
Goheens.
Don't ask me too many questions.
Okay, well,
Okay?
I just,
I'm retired now. I'm a little slower.
You don't remember all those names like you used to.
No.
And you've got the COVID-19 haircut.
Yep. Haven't had a haircut since February. Not unusual. When I was in college, my hair was down to here. So.
Well, let's hope this pandemic gets over soon, so Vincent Vinny can have
I
a
hope
haircut.
So. Yeah.
This is an important event. I'm not sure if I came to the first one in 2002, but I've come to a whole pile of these, and it's always impressive. Tell us about this piece of iron that's here.
Well, it's a piece from the north tower of the Twin Towers, and a few years ago, I had put my name on a list with the Port Authority in New York City to get a piece of the tower. And one day in the newspaper, the New York Post, I noticed that they were running out, and it made me nervous. So I had mentioned it to my brother-in-law, who was a retired battalion chief from the fire department in New York City. And he says, well, I know the commissioner. Of course, Commissioner Nigro, his name, Daniel Nigro. I can neither confirm or deny that I'm related to him. So he says, next time I see him, I'll mention it. Well, as luck would have it, another week or so goes by, and he runs into him at a function. The firemen down in New York City are a tight-knit group. They golf tournaments together, a lot of funerals that they get together. I mean, they're together all the time. Anyway, so he tells this to the commissioner, and the commissioner says, write a letter to this address. I sent it. A week later, I had 3 messages on my phone. Come and get the piece of steel if you want it. So I drove down to New York, Randall's Island, where the training center is for the fire department. And the guy cut me a piece of steel, and he could only give a small piece because they didn't have a lot either.
Right.
And they wanted to give to as many people as can. And he says the only thing we ask is that you put it in a public place, and people are allowed to touch it. They want people to examine it. And so that's that story. So I brought it back up. I had a gentleman weld it. I forget his name. He lives behind the high school. He's on the golf road, and he has that sign that says welding on his lawn. I forget his name. And he wrote his name underneath there. Anyway, and then I ordered the brass plate, and I took a quote from one of the firemen that said that. I thought it was appropriate, and we attached it, and we have that with our memorial as well.
And I've seen that sign. I don't know if it's on James LaFontaine's lawn or.
That sounds familiar. Yeah,
Okay.
that's him.
Okay. Let's hope if it's not James, you just got credit. But that little hunk of iron right there is probably heavy enough. You probably wouldn't have wanted it any heavier.
It takes at least 2 people to pick it up, but the fireman who cuts it, gets the welder, cuts it, picks it up, puts it in my brother-in-law's car. I mean, this thing weighs a ton, but just picked it up like it was nothing. So.
Okay. Now, next year will be the 20th anniversary of that tragic day from 2001.
Correct.
You have plans?
Yeah, I've
next
already
year?
started making plans. We hopefully will have our crowd back. We usually have anywhere from 100 to 125 people usually at these
lots
things.
Of,
And
cross section of essential, EMT type of people, military, law enforcement.
RCMP, state police, anybody and every the high school. We usually
Yeah.
have representatives of the high school come over because it's really a public
Right.
memorial. And we didn't have a crowd this year. I recommended because of COVID. Before I worked for the customs, I worked for the health department on Long Island for 9 years.
Okay.
So I have a little experience with that, and so I didn't think it would be worth it to have a big crowd. And so one year we just have a small.
Right.
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 It's very similar to the first one, where the Canadians, the Saturday after September 11th, September 15th, brought a wreath down to honor us. And I always thought that was a great thing. So the following year, I got together with Tom O'Keefe, and we represented Champlain on 9/11 every year since then. And every year is a different, it takes a different form. Sometimes there's flyovers with jets. We usually have the American Legion come and do a 21-gun salute and pull taps. But this year we forego all of that because of the COVID.
Yeah. Steve Bronson told me off camera that the F-135, F-35s, whatever it is, the new planes in Burlington were set to come if we needed them today,
Right.
and they would have been here.
Right, so we'll save that for next year.
Right.
So that's
All right.
it. The year comes quick,
Yes.
goes fast.
Yes.
So-
Well, it's 19 years already.
Yeah.
In many
I've
ways,
been
that's-
retired 2 years already. It's amazing how fast time flies.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
thank
Anything
you.
else, Vinny?
No, thank you for coming.
All right. Well, thank you
And,
for doing this every
You're
year.
invited next year. I don't even have to invite you.
I know what time and date it's going to be.
But I'll remind you.
All right.
Thanks,
All
Calvin.
right. Thanks. All right. We're at the U.S. border crossing here in Champlain, and it's an annual event here. That's unfortunate that we have to have this event, but we do, and it's in honor of everything that happened back in 2001. Thanks for watching.